2023. This meeting is being held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40, of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of the wetlands as most recently amended. Notice and time of this meeting in place will posted at the town clerk's office. Persons wishing to be heard will be called in the following order. First order of business is minutes for approval for March 8th, 2023.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yes.
Approve?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Aye.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting mail?
So we had some recent mail just in the last few days. I have a letter I printed out from the Buzzards Bay National Estuary Program, talking about some funding opportunities. I pass it around if anybody wants to read it, or we can just put it in the record. And then I emailed out, or Joanne emailed to the commission, a notice of non-compliance from Natural Heritage for Moniz Estates. Did everybody get that?
No.
No, just on no.
Okay, so we finally heard from Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program that they did not apply for the permit and that they're out of compliance. I've emailed the director of enforcement. Their main office is 2 towns over from where I live, and I've asked to meet with them in person and just, go through the documentation and talk about a couple of other natural heritage issues in town, see if they're interested. So I'll forward that, or Joanne will forward that notice of non-compliance for
Okay,
Allison Drive.
I didn't get it.
All right, I'll send it to you.
Okay. If I did,
Is that
I
it?
didn't send it, obviously.
That's it on meeting mail. Yes.
Old business. Certificate of compliance for Dean J. Francois, 293 Perry Hill Road, SE 001-0452. A certificate of compliance is filed by Dean J. Francois for property located at 293 Perry Hill Road, map 8, lot 25B. The applicant placed a 2-bedroom trailer on a foundation, installed the septic system, private well, drive, and utilities with filling and grading, as built, provided by GAF Engineering, dated March 14th, 2023.
Is there anybody here from Dean Francois? So I spoke to Bill Madden late this afternoon. He's not coming to the meeting. He had another engagement in Carver. I don't know what happened at the site visit. Did you guys find that it wasn't complete? I heard that.
No, it wasn't complete.
Right, no. There was an issue with, we asked Bill about grading in the last meeting or something like that.
Yeah. So he hasn't heard anything
So.
back.
Right, so that was how we were left it.
So you could continue that for more information from Bill?
Is this them?
No, that's not.
Continue to the next
I'll make a
meeting.
motion to continue to the next meeting.
Second.
Second.
Okay, continue that to our next meeting. New business. First on the agenda, Alan Decker, project summary and briefing of the Red Brick Farm West and Trips Millbrook properties. Mr. Decker?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
As was mentioned, Alan Decker with Buzzards Bay Coalition, and I'm here this evening to really give you project status on a couple of conservation restriction projects here in town. I did provide electronically these overview packs with a summary and maps, but I also have paper color copies with me right now. I'd be happy to hand those up if that helps with part of the discussion.
Sure.
That'd be okay? All right. I'll do it one at a time. We'll do we're gonna do Red Brick Farm first. And Mr. Chair, I'll through you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's for the commission members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, the reason for being with you this evening on this particular project, this is something that several of your commission members already know about because through their involvement with the Community Preservation Committee, there is going to be a recommendation from them to town meeting on May 22nd for spending $85,000 of CPA funds for this multi-town drinking water aquifer protection project, which is going to protect a total of 241 acres in the combination of Acushnet, Mattapoisett, Rochester, and those 3 towns, but involving 5 towns in total for drinking water aquifer protection purposes. And one of the components of this project, which we are calling Red Brick Farm West, involves the portion of the property that's in Acushnet. That's what is shown on this map. This is on the extreme sort of southeastern corner of town, on the Mattapoisett town line. But there's 80 acres of this project in Acushnet. And you may remember that this was a project that was proposed last fall. There were some issues outside of CPC that prevented it from coming to town meeting last fall, but it is on the warrant as far as I know, and will be, as I said, seeking $85,000. That money, if approved by town meeting, goes into the project as a whole. The benefit that Acushnet receives is residents in that southeastern area of the town will have their aquifer protected from no future development, and the Conservation Commission will co-hold the conservation restriction proposed for the Red Brick Farm West component, which is in total 98 acres as shown on the location map there. As I said, the bulk of that acreage, 80 of it, is in Acushnet. We, the coalition, will be the long-term owners of the property. We do not propose any sort of additional development beyond the potential for the placement of drinking water wells. Would that happen on the Acushnet parcel portion? It's hard to say. There's been no testing done, but that is a reserved right that we're holding on to because of the drinking water aquifer protection of the entirety of the project. All the land involved is going to be reserved or have the ability to place wells on, but that's only a piece of it. What we envision for this property is really just trail networks and public access. I do want to address public access. On this map, you will see a parcel outlined in blue. That is not part of the conservation restriction I'm speaking with you about immediately right now. It's coming up, it's next, but what's important about that is this was the hang-up last fall. If the project were to move forward last fall, there wouldn't have been access to the Acushnet property for Acushnet residents from an Acushnet public way. Principally Mattapoisett Road is what we're talking about. That problem has been solved, and that's why this property is outlined in blue, this intervening in-between property of 57 acres. We have that now under agreement, different owner, but we are working through acquiring that property and protecting it, and I want to talk to you next about a conservation restriction on that property as well. But in essence, that's why there's no vote tonight. I'm not looking for a vote. I just wanted to give you the heads up, because this, as I said, will be, this Red Brick Farm West project will be part of town meeting on the 22nd, and I didn't want any of you to be surprised when it gets brought up. So if things go well with town meeting, I will be back with you subsequent to that to work through the conservation restriction that is proposed for the property in sum. Acushnet's interest in this project ends at the town line, simply because conservation commissions, as I understand it and as envisioned in this strategy, can't hold property interests, which is what holding a conservation restriction is, outside of town boundaries. So water departments can for drinking water protection, but not conservation commissions. So you will be a co-holder of the conservation restriction with the other partner towns on the coalition, but your interest is limited to the boundary of Acushnet. But that's, as I said, 80 of the 98 acres of the parcel. I don't want to belabor any points, and again, this is a quick summary. We will do additional work on this subsequently, fingers crossed. But I'm happy at this point to answer any questions that you have of me at this time.
I have just a couple of questions.
I invited them. No, I'm fine, absolutely. Mr. Hannon, let's talk.
The commission I was on, we never accepted CRs. We always wanted another agency to take over the CRs. So I'm wondering what the advantage is to the commission to accept, a partial CR. What's our responsibility?
Your responsibility is the same as the existing conservation restrictions that you hold over property that we own in Acushnet.
And I don't know what those are,
So it's ensuring that in partnership with the coalition that the property remains as envisioned and that the conservation restrictions not violated. We don't have any intention of doing so, but that's your role as the grantee or the holder of the conservation restriction. And so the ones, if you're curious, Conservation Commission holds a CR on our property at the Acushnet Sawmill on Mill Road. You hold a conservation restriction over property we own right by that Fishway, the culvert replacement project.
Yep.
No, I think to be Hamlin, yes, on Hamlin Street. We have a name for that property, and I haven't visited it in a while, and I can't remember exactly what we call it, but that property, and this continues that partnership with the town.
And is the commission responsible for enforcing that CR restriction?
That's the role of the grantee.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, great, thanks.
We were talking before the meeting about, there was at one time a proposed solar farm,
There was by the.
so that's gone now.
It is not moving forward, that's correct, and
Okay.
there's no reservation in the conservation restriction for the placement of any solar voltaic or any, actually any green energy solar farm or wind turbines or any of that. Yeah, and I'm aware that was the proposal from the current owner, and under our ownership, that's not gonna happen. This is gonna be protected habitat, open to public access, and we fully look forward to opening it up to the public.
So that's a nice set of woods right there.
It is a nice set of woods, and I'm glad you know it. We want more residents of Acushnet and the surrounding towns to get to know the property as well. It really is. It's quite special. Great. Thank you. So with that, with your permission, I can march right into the second project, which is that accompanying property in blue. Again, I've got a nice handouts I'd like to hand up if that's okay. Perfect. All right. Through you, Mr. Chair. In this case, what was blue on the prior map will now show up as red, and what was red will show up as blue. So this is what we're calling the Trips Mill Brook property, because Trips Mill Brook runs the length of this property, as you'll see in the location map. This is the key property that provides access from Mattapoisett Road to the Red Brick Farm West project. So, as I said, we have this under agreement. We are going to be using a state grant to help with the acquisition cost, grant from the Conservation Partnership Program. As part of that, we had to work with a partner to hold the conservation restriction. We got that partnership letter as part of the application from Chairman Rocha. So we're excited about the opportunity to partner with you on the Conservation Commission on this property as well. This is, again, good habitat. It's forested. It's got a significant length of Trips Mill Brook, which runs to Tinkham Pond, which then the brook runs on to Mattapoisett River. So this property also has aquifer protection behind it. No direct aquifer Zone 2 land on this particular property, but it provides access. It's very important to point out, this is also box turtle habitat, so rare species from I heard Natural Heritage name brought up earlier. They're helping us with the acquisition cost for this because of the box turtle habitat there. Again, we don't plan any sort of development on this property other than public access amenities, reservation for 1, possibly 2 small parking areas to enhance the access for the public onto the property, develop a trail network that then connects to Red Brick Farm West. And Red Brick Farm West, I didn't point this out previously, but it connects to other protected land as well. So we're talking about the possibility of public access through trail connections and networks for a significant property that runs from Acushnet down into Mattapoisett all the way to the former Mattapoisett Bogs property on Acushnet Road. There's no other particular details that I feel I need to pass along to you at this point. Again, I'd be back with you on the actual conservation restriction once it's drafted. But we're looking to close this in June as well. Both projects will close in June, so I'll be back with you most likely very soon, May. But in any case, there's no town meeting implication with this one. This is just, we're funding this privately ourselves along with money from the Nature Conservancy for the box turtle mitigation with Natural Heritage and this small state conservation partnership grant. So again, happy to answer any questions commission members have.
I'm 1,000% for it.
That's 10 times more than I need, so that's fantastic. I appreciate that. No, it's we're really happy about these 2 opportunities, particularly this one, with providing the access that was a sticking point for the much larger project last fall. This is going to be another special part of the watershed that's protected and benefits not only the residents of Acushnet, but the public at large. So we're pleased to be partnering with you on this. Appreciate your time this evening. Yes, sir.
One more question.
Oh, of course.
Are you asking for the commission to vote and accept the CR prior to town meeting, or would that be after town meeting, actually appropriating the money and doing the...
So, yeah, and thank you for the question. I'm not asking you to vote on anything before town meeting. I will likely bring you conservation. What I want to do is bring you the draft conservation restrictions, get your comment back on them, make sure we're comfortable. I then need to submit them to the state for their review and approval. But I will be bringing them for a vote, but once they've been finalized by you, by us, and by the state. And then we'll likely do the voting, I would think, in early June.
So the selectmen set the warrant on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the topics from the moderator is that the more information that's available at town meeting to give to the public,
Mm-hmm.
the better these things have a chance of passing.
I
So if we could have the draft CR for town meeting so that could be introduced at town meeting, so that people know that there is a conservation restriction its language acceptable to the commission, and that may help. It was unanimous at the selectmen's meeting,
No, that's very good to hear.
so.
Would we have an opportunity to get feedback from you before town meeting on a draft conservation restriction?
When's town meeting?
Monday.
No, isn't
No,
it?
I know,
May
it's
22nd.
2 Mondays from
It's
now.
May 22nd.
I thought it was the 8th.
No, it's late May.
May 22nd, so we meet again on May 10th, Joanne?
Yes.
I just got that from,
May 10th, we have a meeting.
I have the card
Well, I
right
can-
in my kitchen.
I just
It's
think it would
May
be,
8th, there's
it
3 of
would
us.
be good to have that piece of
And I thought
paper.
Mattapoisett was the 22nd.
I'm gonna have, we're gonna have.
Not a deal breaker, but,
No, and we're gonna have handouts for town meeting.
okay,
Similar to what I've given you this evening, just
yeah.
not the detail, not the full CR. I don't think anybody really wants to see something like that. But I can absolutely get a draft conservation restriction
Yep.
to you in time for.
And do you need anyone from the commission to speak in favor of this at town meeting?
Love that.
And maybe
It's
the
gonna,
commission
so.
could
just-
prepare something in advance of what to read at town meeting so that we hit all the right points and we're all in sync.
Sure, just to be clear, the town meeting article proposals will be brought by the chair of the CPC, because that's who's recommending them to town meeting. We will be there, the coalition will be in the room to answer questions if they come up.
But they do look for other departments to
That the chair
to vote
can't handle.
recommendations, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll plan on having something on the agenda for May 10.
Okay.
To get your-
I'll get you
your CR.
I'll get you draft conservation restrictions.
You good with that, Joanne?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, next order of business is certificate of compliance for Jacqueline Aguirre, 22 Bow Drive, SE 001-0164. Certificate of compliance was filed by Jacqueline Aguirre for property located at 22 Bow Drive, map 16, lot 103. The applicant constructed a single-family dwelling with utilities, well, septic system and driveway. Board of Health as-built plan on file.
It's a public hearing. Do we gonna make a motion to open public hearing?
No, it's not.
It's not a public hearing, I don't know.
So, are you familiar with the background on this? This is a house that was built a long time ago, I believe 1996.
Yeah.
A family member's buying it, the woman's daughter is buying it. And maybe because of lending restrictions, they need the order of the CLC. It's been built for a really long time, and unless you saw buildings built in the wetlands when you went in the site visit, I'd recommend that you just issue the CLC.
Yeah, we saw nothing wrong
It's-
with it.
it-
Yeah, it's-
It's very well established, it's definitely not in the wetlands.
Yeah.
They they do walk out in the wetlands, but they're not using it for anything, they don't even put their
She cleans it
leaves
out.
in there like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend that someone that we do issue this COC to this lady so she's selling the house to her daughter.
Yes, yeah.
So it's,
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 22 Bow Drive.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't go.
Hmm?
Yeah, I wasn't there. Any of them.
Okay. Now we're on to stormwater. Have a continued public hearing for stormwater. Amendment to previously approved stormwater plan. Paul Boucher, Nancy Durfee, 7 Morton Lane, SE 0010566. Request to amend in previously approved stormwater plan was filed by Paul Boucher and Nancy Durfee for property located at 7 Morton Lane, map 14, lots 15H and 17. The applicant requests to review the stormwater management calculations submitted by Haru Engineering Limited Liability. A plan sketch submitted on July 22nd, 2022 by Haru Engineering Limited Liability. And the topographical as-built plan submitted by Haru Engineering Limited Liability on March 25th, 2023.
So,
I need a
Mr. Chair?
motion, just a motion to open.
At this moment, I need to.
I'll make
ask
a
for
motion to
ex-
open the public hearing.
I second that.
I need to ask for continuance to your next meeting,
Continuance?
to your next meeting.
no problem.
It's okay with me. You guys all right, set with that? Motion to
I'll make a
continue?
motion to continue the next meeting.
That's gonna be in 2 weeks.
And will this be for more information, or you just not, just so there's a reason for the
It's not
continuance?
ready.
Okay.
Continue for more information.
Second.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
What's the date on that? The
May 10th.
10th?
continued public hearing, storm,
Did everybody get the as-built plan? The topographical as-built plan?
Yes,
think
I
Joanne
did.
sent
I
out to
saw it.
everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we
Yeah, I got the email.
Yep.
continued public hearing, stormwater, Jose S. Costello, Park Drive and Deep Brook Drive, maps 17 lots 66 through 84, map 18 lots 12R, 12S, 18, 18G. A stormwater permit application was filed by Jose S. Costello for property located at Park Drive and Deep Brook Drive, maps 17 lots 66 through 84, map 18 lots 12R, 12S, 18, 18G, in Acushnet, Mass. The applicant proposes to construct 2,350 feet of roadway and associated drainage and utility systems to serve a 15-lot residential subdivision. The plan is represented by Jamie Bissonette of Zenith Consulting Engineers, Limited Liability. Plan name is Deep Brook Estates, dated October 24th, 2017.
So, we didn't get a submittal for this until last night.
Pat, I just need a motion to open.
I'll make a motion
Go
to
ahead.
open the public hearing.
Get a vote.
Favor?
Aye.
We got a 159-page submittal based on their responses to Beals and Thomas last night. Haven't had time to look at it, haven't had time to do anything. I'd ask that you continue this to the next meeting, so that we have time to review this, and I have Beals and Thomas here at the next meeting. That's part of the plan. It worked out very well having Bill Madden come in from GAF and explain his peer review at Navison. I got a call Monday morning from Beals and Thomas saying that Zenith wanted to speak with Beals and Thomas about their responses. And I said, that's fine, but I want to be on the call. And the call was canceled. I did speak to Brady?
Brady.
Okay, I can't tell you, and now's the part. So, I did speak to him last night. He explained some of the issues. I spoke to a couple of people at Beals and Thomas and another outside engineer. And I just asked that you continue this to the next meeting so that everybody has time to look at the 159 pages.
I'm good with that.
I'm fine with that too, yeah.
Motion to continue to the next meeting.
I second that.
All those in
Oh,
favor?
Hold on.
Once there's a motion on the floor, there's not supposed to be any discussion. There's a motion on the floor.
Can we reverse that so he can't
Yeah.
have comments?
Yeah, but
Rescind your second.
So I rescind my second or rescind the motion?
just rescind the motion.
I'll rescind the motion.
Okay.
And I think you have to vote to rescind the motion, just to cover that base.
Just second the rescind.
It's all new to me. Okay.
For the record, Brady Gagnon with Zenith Consulting Engineers. I just wanted to say, I mean, obviously, we don't object to continuing the hearing because, you know, they haven't had a chance to look at the response, but I just didn't know if the commission wanted me to kind of go over the responses.
It's a waste of time.
Um,
I prefer to have our consultant here. I just think we're burning the clock, listening to a one-sided story without having any rebuttal from our peer review engineer. So,
I just wanted to put that out there in case.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know what's going on, so if all parties involved are here, then, I mean, that might,
I think it'd be better if everyone's here.
if we continue, Beals and Thomas will be at the next meeting.
Yes, Beals and Thomas will be here.
I'm for that.
So I guess,
You need to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to continue next meeting.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We need to close that?
No, it's continued to the next meeting.
But you see, no, you'll continue the public hearing to the next meeting. That would be the motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you did that.
Yeah, we did that, yeah,
We
yeah,
did
yeah.
that.
yeah.
I'm getting old.
All right, stormwater application received by Deterra Development for Bradford Street.
When was that, when was that report received?
Just
Last night.
yesterday.
Okay.
We can email it out to you guys if you want to see the email time and stuff like that.
I just
Yeah.
was wondering when that came.
Okay, continued discussion on peer review. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. This is not a public hearing. A public hearing will be advertised at a later date.
Again, if you're going to hear testimony about a waiver for a bylaw, then it really needs to be done at a public hearing. And I thought that this was originally, I don't think, I know that this was originally posted to pick a peer review engineer. And that's what this was set up for. And then they asked, when I wasn't here, about getting a waiver from that, but that was not on the agenda. It was for peer review. So, and it's still not on here, anything about asking for a waiver from stormwater. There are residents in the area that have flooding problems that they feel are attributed to this project. And if you're gonna do this, you should have a public hearing.
I was under the impression that they were asking for a waiver for peer review and that you had already received the stormwater application.
We've received a stormwater permit application,
Right.
but I don't know that we've received all the information, and there's been no peer review person picked for it to go to peer review. And that was the reason for the last meeting, was to pick a peer review consultant and go through the formal process. And there are issues out there that aren't on the agenda, so I'm not comfortable addressing those tonight.
So this is the first, I'm Jeff Deterra, by the way, I own the property. This is the first I've heard about any stormwater issues. The first time you guys knew it, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I know where it's coming from, if this is really the case.
But it's not on the agenda.
It doesn't matter, Pat.
No, it'll be an
No,
open meeting
no.
violation if the commission takes this information tonight. It's
I
not
went
on
for
the
a peer
agenda.
review and I'm
Excuse
asking
me,
to waive the.
Excuse me. The public needs to be notified. They need to be here if you're gonna make a presentation about a waiver. There's a specific procedure to follow for a waiver, and you haven't done that yet.
Am I even on the same scale as them with a Form
everybody's on
A?
the same
It's
scale.
not even a subdivision, this is just a Form A
I'm just telling you what-
existing road that was put in the 1920s. I don't even think there should be, I shouldn't even be here right now.
It's not on the agenda, and I'm not gonna discuss it myself. I'm not gonna create an open meeting violation.
Well, what I came in for last week was, Pat keeps telling me it was for a peer review, and I mentioned to Pat previously that I wanted to come in to ask for a waiver. He told me it wasn't up for discussion. Why can't I discuss this on my piece of property that I pay taxes on? I think I have every right to discuss.
Because there's
to
an
have
open
a
meeting
peer
law,
review.
and we have to follow open meeting law. That's why. That's why.
So every time I make a step forward on this property, it's just been 2 years going on. 2 years
No.
to clean a junkyard. I'm getting fined by DEP, and now I just got caught in the whirlwind of Keating. I couldn't get on the town meeting, it's just going on and on and on, and I'm getting fined by DEP, and then it's just nonsense. This should already be done and built and gone, and the junkyard should be cleaned up, you know? Here I am thinking I'm trying to do a good thing and clean something up, and I can't even do it. I'm just trapped. I'm just getting fined, and people got their hands in the pot, and this is just out of control. I can't believe I'm even dealing with this, you know? You guys saw the property. I mean, what we did looks beautiful. There is no stormwater issues. The person who complained was
Mr. Chairman,
dumped,
this is
all
not on
these
the
people were
agenda.
dumping water onto
This is
my
not on the
property.
agenda, Mr. Chairman.
So can we put this on the agenda? So we can?
No, you need 48 hours notice, it needs to be
No, no,
posted.
no, I'm not saying tonight, but this was on the agenda last time, and
Yes, so let's
Can
follow
they
the
take-
agenda, and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I-
Put it on for May 10th, notice the public meeting, run the advertisement in the newspaper, let the abutters that say they have stormwater problems and flooding come to the meeting and make it a fair game.
And explain
And
how they,
that'll end all of,
I mean, they're dumping sub pumps and they have pipes coming, I have photos of the pipes coming onto my property. The stormwater is, correct me if I'm wrong, their
I'm not discussing
stormwater
it.
is their problem, correct? So my stormwater is controlled. I have recharge systems and everything. They have no recharge systems. They have sub pumps running constantly into the backyard. And the problem is, it was getting dumped onto my property. Now that my property's up to grade, theirs is holding some water, but it's their own problem. It's not my problem.
Yeah,
You
The
know?
problem is, and this is not a judgment on you
Yeah.
and your brother at all, it's just that we can't, because we haven't given proper notification to abutters, we'd be in violation. So whatever we rule, even if it's in your favor,
Yeah.
could be debated, it could be thrown out, so we have to be careful. So,
No, and I'd.
That's all, yeah.
And all I'm saying is I'd appreciate if,
Yeah.
Pat knew he was gonna say this when he came here, I could've just had a phone call and say, hey, if you wanna waive the peer review, I mean, he's a public servant, isn't he, aren't you supposed to give some information? Like,
I'm not
like,
gonna discuss it tonight, it's
now-
not on the agenda.
Now, when someone calls and makes a complaint, our sign is, there's a number on the sign. I've never got a phone call stating there's ever been one issue, and I'm hearing about it at a meeting. Why don't I get a phone call that there's a problem, so I could address it? I don't need to know who's calling, just let me know where the problem is, so I could look at it and assess it, and I would fix it right away. But I don't even get a phone
And
call.
when it's on the agenda, I can explain all of those things to the commission.
Can we put on next?
Yeah,
agenda?
absolutely. If they can
That's okay with
send
that?
out green cards and Joanne can run the ad in the newspaper, absolutely.
Yep.
This way it'll be done
Yeah.
all above board and
Yep.
we can discuss it.
I'm sorry, I'm just, this is,
Yeah,
this
we're
is
sorry
very.
also.
This showed
You don't
up,
have to be
I mean,
sorry.
this is
this
just,
showed up on our last meeting as not a public hearing.
Right.
And then it's on there again as not a public hearing, but we had no information behind it. We only had one side of it, so. I would like to put it on the
Like
agenda
I
as a
said,
public
this-
hearing so we can
Yeah.
hear
Yes.
what,
It's
if
the
there
first
is,
I've
if there
heard
is
of
violation
it.
somewhere, I'd like to hear
You know
about
what I
it.
mean? It's the
Yes.
first I've heard.
So we can make an informed decision.
Right.
Yes, and the public needs to be
And
here.
that was the purpose
Right.
of our site visit
Well, we
Saturday.
didn't,
is we
this
get
was
your
not,
side,
that was,
put it
none of this
back.
information was relayed to us in between last meeting and this meeting, so.
And I just don't know, is someone supposed to relay that information to me if there's a complaint? I don't, as the property owner, like, where does that lie?
I don't know, but
Because
we could do this May 10th.
So I'll
because we
make,
can stay
I'll make a
on
motion to
talk
put it
about
on the
this, but we
agenda
get
for May
nowhere.
10th
Yeah.
I have a motion.
as a public hearing.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of
Aye.
moving to our
Aye.
next
Aye.
meeting?
Aye.
Public hearing.
Yes.
I would just
Aye.
suggest his engineer get out the cards right away.
yeah, now
Get
I'm
out
gonna
the
call now.
notification,
Jamie.
and I'll try to run the ad for
Okay.
next week. Because I have a cutoff for Friday.
Right.
We'll get it done.
And then May 10th, we'll see you again
Yeah.
and discuss it. Okay.
Thank you.
Bring up his
All right.
point.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Rolling right along.
Fella here from Manchester Lane? You from Manchester Lane? No? But if you call that item, I have some information.
1050 Main Street, continued for additional information from the applicant. Review of matters may be presented.
So, I guess you'd have to open up. Is this part of a public hearing, or is this just
No, this
on the
is just,
agenda?
It's on the agenda.
Okay, so there's been some more internal meetings about 1050 Main Street. And the planning board met Thursday night. Myself and building commissioner Andy Babola attended the meeting by Zoom. And there's a flooding problem at 1050 Main Street, pretty severe. I think Mr. Barbosa is here to talk to the commission about that. When they installed the construction entrance for 1050 Main Street, they basically built a construction entrance in a wetland. It's a wet meadow. groundwater is right at the surface. When the commission issued the notice of intent, it wasn't noticed on the back of the letter that comes from DEP that we've issued a letter, a file number, and it doesn't mean everything's okay, but on the back of the document, they wrote that there had been a human-altered wetland between 1020 and 1050, and that the commission should investigate that before they did the notice of intent. It was on the back of the document, nobody saw it. And from looking at historical photos, there was a wall built between 1020 and 1050 that has kind of trapped water at 1050. And recently, there's been some ponding, you folks saw it on a site visit, and then it was even worse, it was like a lake. And in fact, there was a car accident that hit a pole there that hydroplaned on the water at the entrance. I contacted Nexamp and told them that entrance isn't going to work, because that entrance has to stay there for 20 years so they can maintain the solar field. And they needed to either come up with a new entrance on the property or a design that would resolve the issue. So we had an internal meeting, town administrator, chairman of the planning board, building commissioner, myself, and Nexamp and their engineers. And they proposed making some alterations to the road, and I said that wouldn't work, that they need to install some drainage, that there needs to be drainage at the road, and it needs to go somewhere that it gets off the street, not into somebody else's front yard. So we went out and met at the site with Jennifer Duquette from Nexamp. She's their construction manager. Dan Menard from DPW went out, and Dan researched and said there could be a drainage system installed in front of 1050 Main Street that would go down almost as far as Leonard Street and would dump into the river. And he said he didn't know if he had time to do it, and I said, no, this isn't about the town spending money for someone to build a project. This is about the project building some infrastructure that benefits the town at their expense. She was reluctant to do that. Thursday night, the planning board voted that they will install drainage. Okay, that's a must. They're not gonna get a building permit there without relieving the drainage issues in front of your house and quite a few other houses there, and avoiding a future accident. I also asked for a schedule, just like we got from Navison. We're gonna install our screws, we're gonna install our panels, we're gonna vegetate by this 15th of this month, and the next phase this month, and they refused. And said they weren't gonna be granular in their work schedule. I brought that to the planning board voted, you're gonna give us a schedule, you're not gonna get a permit. So they're under a pretty tight time frame there. A lot of the solar permits expire in this town on June 3rd, they're special permits. And if they're not under construction by June 3rd, they're gonna have to apply for new permits. And the new bylaw for the solar fields kicks in, and it's no longer a 10-foot setback from the property line, it's 150 feet from the property line. And that's gonna really take care of the screening issues and all of those things that people have felt about these projects. So, just wanna let you know that there are some stormwater issues out there, and I've refused to give the go-ahead until they come up with a final solution for that, and the planning board voted drainage at their expense. So we're waiting for that.
Okay.
Wow.
No, we're getting traction on these. Having EPA come out for 550 Main Street has had a big effect in town, and we should put 550 Main Street on the next agenda. I did get a call from EPA today, and I'd like to tell you what that resolution is.
Nice.
So, and what my recommendation is.
Nice.
It'll be quick, Joanne. Okay, so Manchester Lane is next.
Okay.
All right.
Discussion. Anybody else have anything you want to say about 1050 Main Street? All right, we'll move on to discussion. Update on the letter sent to the owner of Manchester Lane, map 11, lot 33H, commercial landscape debris in the wetlands review the matters presented. You may vote.
And he did contact me on Monday. And he was very responsive to the letter. He understands what he did, and he will remove the material. I asked him to come to the meeting tonight and talk to the commission, and I asked him what he needed for a time frame to move the material out. And he said 60 days, that he would be willing to move the material out. I don't know if you can vote on it tonight. It says reviews matters presented, so votes may be taken. I'd actually ask that we give him 90 days. Because that's a more reasonable, there's quite a mess there, and he may be underestimating it. He was very cooperative, he was very honest, just like a lot of other people that we do enforcement and they just fix it. So rather than issue an enforcement order, I'd recommend we give him a time.
Something.
He called us, we didn't have to call him, and that's a good start.
That's one good step anyway.
Yes.
You think he could use the extra 30 days? You think there's that much that he has to do that he needs?
I don't
An
think he
extra
realizes how
30.
much it's gonna cost to dispose of all of that. And I recognize those things when I look at that. And he was gonna talk to Dan Menard and see if some of that could go to the DPW brush, because it is from town. So he was gonna look into that. And a lot of people, in my experience, cut themselves short on time because they wanna make the commission happy, and they'll tell you 60 days, and then they're sweating it out. So another 30 days wouldn't be the end of the world.
It's nice to have.
Yeah.
Mm.
He called us, but,
Yeah.
Well, he's willing to do it, so,
yes, and he's admitted that he did it.
and he's asking for 60. I don't see why we can't throw him the extra 30 days.
Yeah.
And then he better be done.
And maybe we ask him to contact us if it's not done in the 60 days, and let us know that he will finish it in the 30 days. How about that?
I like that. 60 day update.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a commitment.
I'm good with adding the
Yeah.
30 days, everybody else?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So,
You'd have to take a vote.
so are you gonna send him a letter, or are you just gonna call him?
No, we'll send him a certified letter that we discussed it at the meeting, and the commission went along with his 60 days and added a 30-day buffer if he can't get it done in 60. Notify us, and you can have the other 30 days. We can at least see if he's made some progress.
Yeah.
All right.
okay, someone has to make a motion. I
I'll
can't
make a
make it from the
motion.
chair. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes, thank you. Lake Street update. Reviews of matters presented, votes may be taken.
So we need to also clean up the Lake Street posting, and I'm not going to object to it tonight, but it should say what's going on at Lake Street. It should have the notice of intent number on it. Lake Street's a big street. And people, there was some confusion of, what's going on at Lake Street. So I'm fine with discussing it. You guys had some questions, so I don't.
No erosion control?
So have you folks looked at the notice of intent for
Yeah, I
that
got
project?
I got it with me.
Yep. Did you look at the plan? And did you read what it said on the plan, that the erosion controls would be at the request of the commission?
I didn't see a plan. I asked for a plan, and Joanne said you had it in your vehicle.
I believe it was at DPW. Do you have Lake Street, Joanne, or do I?
No DEP sign?
I was told they put a DEP sign up. I didn't drive by and look for it.
I didn't see it.
But here's the situation that I found and why I told Dan to go ahead and do the work. So I went through the files. There's an open notice of intent. And we can continue this, but for the next one, you can see this documentation. Open notice of intent from 2019, 17.
Yeah.
And it involved putting rocks in the water along the road to widen the road and put in bituminous concrete sidewalks, aka asphalt. And on that notification from DEP, it said that if you're gonna put in more than 5,000 square feet of stones, you need to file for a 401 water quality certification. That never happened. And more than 5,000 square feet of rocks went into the side of that road. But it also said on there that erosion controls would be at the request of the commission. I went back to near map and I looked at 2017, 18, and 19, and the construction really started in 18. There were no erosion control for any of that project, okay? And that was for the docks, the ramp, and the docks and the ramp. The commission exempted the work for the sidewalks, the guardrails, and the paving as emergency road repairs. That's what the document says. So when I read a notice of intent that the commission issued in 2017 and then reissued again as an extension that says that those are emergency road repairs, I'm not gonna go against what the commission voted and has in a notice of intent. So I told DPW, finish your emergency road repairs along Lake Street. And that's exactly what they've done. And there is no place to put erosion controls in the water when you're doing that work along the road. So it wasn't practical to do. And I heard some comments about a stockpile of loom there. That stockpile was strategically placed in the middle of the parking lot where everything pitched in. And it wasn't
No,
there.
it wasn't loom, it was wood chips
Yeah,
that
it's
were
wood
about
chips.
3 feet from the water.
Oh, well, that was from the,
Yeah.
from the tree cutting that wasn't authorized. So when I probably went there, in the beginning I went there every day, and when I saw the wood chips I saw the trees being cut, I said basically, what the hell are you doing? Because we didn't talk about this. And they said that was a separate request by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. And that he actually had an outside tree company come in and cut those trees down. Wasn't approved by us, wasn't approved by me, wasn't encouraged by me. When I saw him putting the wood chips down by what they were gonna call a new kayak ramp, I had met with Scott Daggett there. Scott Daggett's a member of the Lake Street Improvement Committee. He's a civil engineer, he's a fisherman, he knows those ponds like the back of his hand, and he even said, you can't do that. And the water's not even deep enough there to launch a kayak, and we said, stop. Just stop putting wood chips there. And I think people got a little ambitious to make it look better and better and better. And I guess they could get an approval after the fact, but I watched the Lake Street meeting, and I think they have a lot of ambitions that need to come before the commission. They want to plant ornamental grasses out there, and they need to be native grasses and native plants, and it needs to be approved. So I think we should ask the Lake Street Commission to come in and present their plans, and we can tell them what's jurisdictional and what's not, so that this doesn't happen again. And ask them to get a notice of intent after the fact for the tree cutting. I mean, we would do it to anybody else.
Yeah. I didn't know we had a Lake Street Commission.
They hadn't met for 18 months. They got very held up by the city. New Bedford owns the property. So they had to sign an MOU with
Actually,
New
just like
Bedford
that.
and get permission to do it. And then 2 years ago, when I first came to work, I was asked by Julie Hebert what the town needed for permits to put in the rocks and do all these things. And I said, you need a 401 water quality certification, you need a wetlands permit, you need all of these things. And I was kind of the bad guy for saying that, but I didn't know that there was an open NOI, and then the commission had exempted basically most of the work they wanted to do. So it was exempt. They tell me there were never any erosion controls. I looked at the map, there's no erosion controls, and there really wasn't a possibility to do it, because you'd have to put them in the water. The stones went in the water. So they should come in just like anybody else and give us a list or a plan. I understand they have a draft plan of their future things they want to do. And I think they need to run it by the commission. A couple things that came up is there's a sign there that says the water's polluted. The water is not polluted, and I think that that's a very strong word. and makes it look bad for the town that we're improving a place and there's a big sign that says polluted water. No
It's
swimming.
overgrown, the vegetation, that's what it is.
So I have the water quality reports from
Yeah.
the company that's gonna come in and do the weed
That too,
abatement.
the geese.
We will be getting a notice of intent in the next week or so to do a weed abatement project there. The water quality reports are fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and I'm seeing fish being caught there. When I did toxicology testing for landfills that leached into wetlands, we had to do toxicology testing on fish. And I suggested to the committee that they catch a couple of fish and let's do that toxicology report and let's clear up that mystery. And let's do our own water quality check for fecal coliform and take down that polluted water sign. It's kind of an insult to be standing there. And I recommended that they put up some posts with a chain and that they close it at dusk. But it looks like they're gonna leave it open for now.
I'm reading the minutes from March 8th, 2017, and it says, "A crushed stone sidewalk would be installed in order to put a guardrail in some areas."
The plan says bituminous concrete.
There's a lot of discrepancies. All right, that's fine. I'm just-
There's a lot of discrepancies and these are older projects.
And the order of conditions says, "A sign shall be displayed on site, DEP, work shall conform to the plans and special conditions referenced in this order. Any change in plans identified in condition 13 should go in front of the Conservation Commission."
So there was no change in plans on the sidewalks?
All right, and then it says, "All sedimentation barriers shall be maintained in good repair until all disturbed areas have been fully stabilized by vegetation and other means." I'm just not looking at
Yeah,
the,
but the construction notes on the plans
I haven't
are
seen the.
very
plans.
vague. It's just basically, you know, if you want to do it, do it.
Minutes from
so-
our meeting in 2017.
And I do want to remind the commission,
No.
a few people called me, watched the meeting, and said, you know, they're kind of, you know,
Oh, no, I think they're doing a great job. I think it looks awesome, and I think it's great. I just, I think the way, I don't know what I think. But
the job was too old, the paperwork was too vague, you
Right.
guys weren't.
But somebody also called me and said that we put a cease and desist on the property, and that didn't happen either.
We didn't.
No,
But what I want to tell the commission is, you folks have more authority than me to stop at a job and say, what's going on, I want you to stop. And if you're driving by and you see something you don't like, please stop and say, what's the deal? They're supposed to have their order conditions on the job, they're supposed to, all those things there, they're no different than anybody else.
Where's the file number? I didn't see it when I went by there today, unless I missed it. Is the file, you said it's up? The file
Well,
number?
the first day I was there, I said, Dan, there's no file number.
Yeah.
And he called Kathy called whoever it was, and it was gonna be there in 20 minutes. And
I didn't know.
maybe they cut the tree down that was on, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
all right.
that's the least of the,
Yeah, no.
No, but
I'm
if
just
we're
curious,
gonna,
that's all. Yeah.
enforce,
Right, we ask
we're
others
gonna
to-
do it to everybody else. I'm just
Yep.
saying we should
Yeah.
do the same thing to the town.
but if we're gonna let people put, if the town's gonna put rocks in the water and not get a 401 water quality certification, then on that vein, then you maybe need to let everybody else,
Yeah, I mean,
violate
all
the
this
Army
work,
Corps
all this
of
work
Engineers.
was exempt because it was an emergency repair. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that, 6 years later, it's not an emergency.
I don't even think it was an emergency when it got approved.
But, no, I understand.
Yeah, I think it was,
Somebody had driven off the road shortly before this all started.
Yeah, no, the guardrails are important.
but I will say,
And the project looks amazing. It's awesome, and
Yeah, it does.
I'm an outdoorsman, I'm a fisherman, I'm all for it, 1,000%.
and I've seen a lot more families down
Oh,
there,
absolutely, and they got
especially
the
during school
state
vacation,
cheese
using those
truck down there
sidewalks,
now.
fishing. They stabilized a couple of the banks where kayaks going in were eroding the bank.
It does look great. I just drove the
It
other
does.
day, Monday.
It looks better.
It's fantastic.
But people are doing donuts, ripping the driveway up already.
Yeah.
They are putting some cameras up pretty soon. I recommended a couple of handicap parking spots that's
Mhm.
missing, and some safety rings at the docks, and things with a rope, a throw ring. Because someone will fall off the dock. And that's Lake Street.
Good street.
Wow.
All set on this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing is 301 Perry Hill Road. It's stockpiling in the buffer zone prohibited in order of conditions. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken.
You tell me what the issue is.
So, I didn't watch your meeting, but people were calling me and playing me the audio from the meeting. And the commission mentioned that while you were out on a site visit, you saw stockpile dirt in the buffer zone at 301 Perry Hill. And there was a comment made that the silt fence is only 10 feet from the wetlands. And that it's a condition in our order of conditions that you can't stockpile in the buffer zone. It's not in his order of conditions. It wasn't in the order of conditions back then. That was an addition later after that. But I will bring to your attention that the order of conditions isn't properly filled out, and this is starting to be going through the files. This is a common appearance, a common problem. So here's the order of conditions, and there's a wetlands restoration, wetlands taking here on this project. And if you go to the order of conditions that the commission referenced, nothing. No wetlands restoration, no wetlands replication, nothing in the order of conditions. And if someone went to the registry of deeds to buy this house or this property, this could turn into a real quagmire, because the commission's going to be insisting. Almost nothing was filled out on this, and I have the feeling that for the sake of time, the commission signed a blank order of conditions, and it was going to be filled in later on. And I'm going to ask that the commission never sign a blank document for a Wetlands Protection Act thing again.
What's the date on that?
Yeah.
The date
That was my question.
on this is
Yeah. I don't think-
September 22nd, 2021. Was the date the hearing was closed. The date of issuance was September 28th, 2021.
You were the agent.
But I don't file these things. I don't do this.
Yeah, but you fill out the,
No, I don't. No, I don't. I absolutely don't.
Isn't that COVID time?
No, but this is something that normally the consultants fill in, because Joanne doesn't have the capability to calculate how many square feet of wetlands are being taken on the plan. We need to make sure that all these boxes are checked before the commission signs documents. Because if it's not written, it didn't happen. That's the way it gets looked at legally. And
Sorry, Mark Francois, Perry Hill Road. Regardless, I'm glad you pointed that out. Regardless if it is on the order of conditions, it's going to get done. The
Yeah.
replication will get done. It's all part of the project. It's on plans. It's all going to get done. Don't know how that happened. I got the order of conditions the same way you got the order of conditions. But rest assured, the replication will be done the way it's supposed to be done.
And the silt fence was approved by the commission to be 10 feet from the wetlands, and that was before we had the 25-foot no-touch.
no, it wasn't the silt fence. All the erosion control are good, all that other stuff, but the stockpile.
No, the
was-
chairman made the comment that the silt fence is only 10 feet from the wetlands, and that there's a pile in the buffer zone, but the commission voted to put the silt fence in the wetlands, and I felt that this is an embarrassment to the applicant.
Yeah, that wasn't.
He's on TV, but it wasn't even, he was out there, and no one said a word to him.
That's what kind of bothers me, is you guys were all out there, we were walking, not all of you, we were walking it, we were talking, and if there was an issue, I don't know why it wasn't brought up to me right there and then.
I noticed it when we were leaving. Whenever it
When
picked
we
us
walked
up.
away from.
And we also can't deliberate, we can't deliberate out on site.
Yeah. But I'm being told by someone that was there that there was a deliberation. That you folks were standing at the end of the road, pointing at things and having a discussion, and that leads to a deliberation. You aren't supposed to talk at the site visits. You're supposed to look. I'm serious.
How is that possible?
I'm serious. No, I'm serious.
You know, we talked with him and the engineer, right, through the whole site visit, pointed things
And
out.
you know what,
They
no,
pointed
wait
things
a
out.
minute, we know that, we definitely.
Yeah, I don't
know
understand that
Because
part.
I was down the edge of the road with you.
That's
you were
it.
there.
Yeah, and we did not, we're not into that.
And the only reason we
The
didn't.
reason I brought this up, all right, so we'll put that out there, is his next door neighbor, 309, has some issues going on there. And you had said you noticed it when you went out on a site visit multiple times.
Yep.
You smelled plastic burning, you were there. So those stockpiles have been there, that would have been something you noticed.
But it's not a stockpile. He hasn't finished the wetlands replication or removal, and that's
The-
dirt that
the
was left.
wetlands-
Hold on, can I just finish? And I had been there and I brought this up to Mark. I said, your contractor, even though he hasn't finished the new part of the road along the sides, has left a lot of debris there, and it looks like hell. It's not a violation, but.
In
it looks
between the
like-
two roads.
Yes.
I'm talking about on the right-hand side of
I'm
the road.
talking on the side,
there's-
next to the wetlands. I mean, right there, right on the. at
But the
at
wetland
bottom of the-
replication
Yes.
is in between the two roads.
Yeah, so there was some rough material left there,
Right.
and it looked like hell, but the work's in progress.
Understood. I'm not asking to put a cease and desist. I was just,
Yeah.
you said you had been there twice. I figured
And
you might have said something to us about it, you know?
But I said to him, I'd like to put some erosion control mats at the end of the road, and I think you saw those green erosion control mats on the banking when you first pull onto the new road, because he was having some erosion problems there. And that's it.
Mr. Francois, I have no problem with your property. Just-
Yeah, no,
I was looking for I asked Joanne for the notice of intent and was curious if that was in it. That was it.
Okay.
and we meant no offense, and the reason we didn't say anything, it was just an afterthought as we were walking away. You had that gentleman that came in with a car from
Right.
one of the lots.
Yep.
So you were way down the road, we were leaving to your brother's property. That's the
Right.
only reason, we meant no offense by that.
Okay,
You know?
all right, I would just, if there was an issue, and I was there, I figured you
Yeah.
could bring it up. Just to kind of update the commission, the contractor's out there now, and some of it's being cleaned up. As you saw, it's still a little wet out there, so to get a machine in there is still a little difficult. That's the only reason why. This hasn't been an ongoing construction site since it started a little over a year ago. The only reason why we stopped is because of the weather. And I guess you could call it stockpiling, but in 2 weeks, there's gonna be a screener there screening. All that's gonna move. There's containers there now, they're taking the stumps out. The rocks will all be, it's a constant project. Since the beginning, I've been put under the microscope before, with the planning board. Conservation's always been pretty decent, but I've always made sure that throughout the beginning of this project, I made sure I did everything by the letter of the law to the best of my ability. Stormwater, permits are done, the sureties are in place. Trust me, I don't wanna stand out. So just to assure the board that everything is being done according to what was approved.
He was the first person to go through stormwater, he was the first person to pay the O&M money, all of these things. He's done everything he was supposed to do. And I watched all the planning board meetings for over a year where he really got through the paces to get this project done, and he's done it all. I mean, the guy's a gentleman. and
Oh,
I've been
Oh, I
impressed.
think we all know that,
Yeah.
and that was an
Yeah.
exceptional
That was never a question.
hike that we did that morning,
Yeah.
and you walked every inch of that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is
I
really nothing
appreciate
to
it.
be concerned,
I appreciate
really.
it. Thank you very much. All set?
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Meeting violation review matters presented. Vote may be taken.
Do you have it? Do you have a copy of the open meeting violation?
Oh,
No?
Well, you need it.
No.
So you're gonna have to continue that to your next meeting. If you want me to tell you what it was, I will. If you wanna have that discussion, if you wanna wait to see it.
No, I'm curious, what is it?
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
All right, so let's put it on for the
Okay.
next meeting, and you guys will have it, and it should have been sent to you. Pam should have sent that to you folks. Or maybe she sent it to Bob,
Yeah.
but it should have come in. All right, so you guys could have both to put that over to the next meeting.
We'll have to vote.
so
I'll make a motion to,
have a motion
yep.
To continue, right?
to continue it. Second,
I'll second.
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Okay, everybody? Agent updates, Manise Estates, Natural Heritage.
So it only took a year and a half. But Natural Heritage finally sent out a notice of non-compliance to Mr. Moniz, that he failed to, that they had actually rejected his project, and that he failed to file a plan and get permission to build the project there. We got chastised a little bit in the letter, and I thought it got sent out to you, but Joanne will send it out tomorrow, that the commission should never issue an order of conditions or approve a notice of intent until you have the final document from Natural Heritage, in your hand. I did find this in the file when I first started looking at Moniz, and it was years old, saying that it was a take for box turtles, and that he needed to reconfigure his project. I couldn't find anything in there that said he did, so I called Natural Heritage, but it was COVID. Spoke to the answering machine and said, here's the your file number, here's the address, and they wrote back to me after a month and said, do you have any more information? And I wrote back and said, I'll send you a copy of your letter, but that's it. And it took another year and so many months. So they're stopping his project.
Are there houses there, maybe?
There's 4 houses there. I've sent inspection pictures that I took over.
The 4 houses occupied?
2 of them are.
2 of them are.
I spoke to the building commissioner. He's not going to issue any more building permits, but he's not going to stop a house that's under construction. It's already underway. And I'm going to be going to the Natural Heritage headquarters in Westboro maybe next week or the week after, because it's 2 towns from my house. And we're going to have a discussion about natural heritage and date in town. Because this has happened in more than just this case. And I think that's what's happening is when we get these things from DEP, the file number's on the front and all these things are here, and if you don't turn it over, and this is a change they made, on the back it'll say, oh, by the way, we have a concern about this, and straighten that out before you do it. And we've just discovered that, and we are looking at that now, so that's under control. So he still doesn't have a stormwater permit at Allison Drive as well, but I think that the non-compliance with Natural Heritage will lead to full compliance. Because he won't be able to get a building permit for any more houses until he does these things. So, that's where we're at.
Okay.
So with Perry Hill Road, should we do an amended order of conditions?
Perry Hill Road,
301, Mr. Francois?
what would be the basis to amend it?
Oh, if it's blank, can't let him run around with a blank check. No, I mean, not that he's doing anything bad, but I mean.
No, I actually think it hurts him that it wasn't filled in, because someone wants to buy that lot, let's say, it says here there's a wetlands restoration, but there's no square footage, how do I know that, that you're really gonna do this? And I understand he's only got one lot left, lucky him. So why don't we have Joanne call the circuit rider and ask him if we can just fill that information in? Or do we need to?
I don't know. Something don't seem right about
Yeah.
a project going on with a blank order of conditions.
Right, so let's call the circuit rider and see what he recommends. And maybe the commission can just publish it as a not as a public hearing, but just put it on the agenda to correct the order of conditions for missing information from when it was approved. And write it in and have that little email from DEP that says that's what you should do in the file as a placeholder. Called plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Yeah. And before you close your meeting, I did forget to give you some mail. And this is a letter from TRC about stormwater PJ Keating. It's not on the agenda, so I don't want to talk about it tonight, but we'll put it on for the next meeting. But everybody should take a copy of that. It's been requested.
We got this in our email, I think.
That's all right, I'll take
You
a
got
hard
it?
copy. I'll
Okay.
take a hard
Yeah,
copy anyway.
actually I do.
Yeah.
I printed it myself.
It's been requested by the
Yeah.
chairman of the soil board
By email.
that any matters for PJ Keating that come before this commission, they want our lawyer here at the meeting going forward. Well, they're going through permit negotiation. Keating's getting ready to open back up. So everybody's just trying to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and no one gets ahead of anybody.
So I think, Pat, and they're requesting to be on the agenda, right?
Yes.
This GIC.
Yes,
So
for
that'll be
discussion.
on May 10th?
Yep.
With the attorney here.
With Attorney Blake here or on Zoom. If we're meeting here, he could be on Zoom. We can't have any more Zoom meetings other than in this room because they don't record properly. Has been the latest ruling from tech.
Is this
board.
their, like, peer review consultant, or?
Yeah, please.
That's their engineer they've been using through all the litigation.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else for us tonight?
Yes, actually I do. We were talking about town meeting, and I was saying it was May 8th. So I just talked to Superintendent
The election-
Polanski.
The election's May 8th.
Yeah,
So it's before that.
No, it's
Well-
after.
Town meeting's after the election.
Oh, it's after the election,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
so, but we're talking about town meeting, right?
Yeah.
You're saying May 22nd,
Okay,
right?
I think
Correct?
that's the date.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Everybody thinks?
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
it
It's
should,
just-
it should be.
It's a Saturday, I know that.
It's on the town
No,
website.
town meeting is
Okay,
on Monday.
so anyway,
Elections are Saturday, I think.
I just talked to Superintendent Polanski, and he was saying it shows May 8th on the website. He said he called the town hall here,
Yeah,
it
the
was
town meeting is
confirmed
before the
that
town election.
he called the clerk's
The
office.
meeting is before the election because they changed it a few years ago.
Because it makes no sense to have a new selectman.
They had a
go
new
to town meeting.
selectman.
Okay, but that's not the point. Can I finish this, please? He called and he confirmed with the clerk's office and the town administration, and they said the 8th as well. So why do we have different dates?
I'll look at the
Yeah, I could-
big sign that lights up. and
I can
says
only give
town.
you a second, I can't answer, so I don't-
Okay, well, I just confirmed it is the 22nd.
I think it's the 22nd.
That's what I thought too. I could be wrong.
There's 3 towns, I believe, that have it all on the 8th, but I was,
It should be on the, right on the town website.
no,
on the
but
front
even when I
page.
first read this, I was told
Pam's
the
webpage.
22nd.
Go to Pam's webpage, she probably has it right there.
Well, they close the warrants on Monday, and it needs to close 14 days before, a minimum of 14 days before town meeting, so it couldn't be on the 8th.
Yeah, exactly. I told them it wasn't on the
Yeah,
8th.
It's not.
But he's the one who got a hold of here, town hall and
And
admin,
someone told him.
and they told him May 8th, and he said it's on your website.
I'm not surprised.
Okay. That's big.
I will send the email to Jamie Kelly tonight,
Yeah, just for a heads
and just tell
up.
him it came up at the meeting.
And we won't show up the 8th. Okay. I'm gonna accompany him.
He'd be
I'd say
waiting
look
for
at
it.
Pam's
Yeah,
website.
I'll be very early.
She should have it.
Okay, just a heads up. It's not a big deal, but he goes, wow, thank you. You
Do
know?
you have your calendar? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There's a town elections on the Saturday,
Right,
because we're moving that back next year.
so,
But it's going back to Tuesdays.
so Saturday would be the 6th, or the 13th.
I think it's the 13th, the town
Oh, really?
election.
Yeah, Saturdays don't work. They don't.
So the meeting is before.
I like that.
Okay, so I haven't.
It's, you know, some things are just
Town meeting's before
meant
the
to be
election.
like they have been. Well, do you know what I mean?
Probably the
Succession
8th.
of time. I think it says a lot.
Yeah, because the first is a
Gives you
Monday.
rates. Nice.
We done?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
We have motion to adjourn. Second on that motion, anyone?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.